Shame doesn't motivate positive, lasting change. Empathy does. Empathy is when we have the ability to put ourselves into somebody else's shoes. And when we begin to understand where somebody else is, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, it allows us to enter their model of the world, and then we can begin to shift what it is we're doing, right? So your kid messes up, and then you stack pain on top of that. Billy, that was so stupid. I can't believe you. You are such an embarrassment. Can you just not even breathe right now? Because I can't talk to you. If that's the energy we throw at our kids when they make a mistake, whether they're 5 years old or 15 years old or 25 years old, if that's the energy we throw, what kind of response are we going to get? Right? If we keep judging our kids, especially when they're 5, 10, 11, expect that when they're a little bit bigger, 15, 16, they're going to get angry and they're going to throw that right back at you. And you kind of deserve it because you're being a jerk. Yeah. Right? We all have those moments, right? So we want to understand this idea of empathy, and then how do we implement it? So let me give you just a really quick kind of frame of reference for how empathy develops inside human beings. So there's a very famous Swiss child psychologist, or Swiss psychologist, who developed a lot of stuff about child psychology. And one of the experiments he did is a guy named Jean Piaget, and I've heard Piaget, I've heard Piaget, but is the idea that he did one of the early experiments talk about specifically empathy. What color do you see? Right? I'm holding a piece of paper. What color do you see? You see blue. Now what color do you see? Do you see green? Fantastic. Blue, green. So what's on this side? Blue. What's on that side? Green. So then you take a young child and you ask them, what color do you see? And they say blue. And then you ask, what color do I see? And then they say blue. What color is this? Green. What color is this? Blue. What color is this? Green. What color is this? Blue. So what color do you see? Green. What color do I see? Green. See, what's happening is inside the young child's mind, they don't have the ability to understand that what we know and what they know are separate. They can't put themselves into our model of the world. They literally have no empathy. Empathy is partially a brain structure, and it's partly a socialization about how to understand other people's feelings and to be considerate of that. Now, the brain structure starts to show up generally around 3 to 5 years old. And then we're socially conditioned what to do with that structure. And that's how we begin to build that empathy and compassion for other people. Now, if you interrupt that process and that 3 to 5 years old, a critical emotional experience happens, a child shifts from child to teenage brain. When that happens, then that empathy can be retarded or even suppressed. And that's where you get things like narcissism, borderline personality disorder, even sociopaths. They just lack empathy. They literally can't care. And the danger is in young children, once that happens, there's no fixing it. They'll grow empathy later. Right? In my own life, actually, because of the things I experienced when I was 5 and 6 years old, I began to move that direction, but I still had some empathy. The structures were still there, and so I was able to grow those and expand those. I did care about people, but it took a long time for that to show up, actually about 10 years off schedule. This idea of empathy, the idea that you can feel what somebody else feels, you can begin to understand and appreciate what they're going through, then that gives you the ability to now adapt and be flexible and to have compassion, right? So your kids mess up and you see they're stressed and they're trying their hardest and I've been studying really hard and I didn't get the grades that I wanted and they're just frustrated. Okay, dude, I can tell you're upset. I see that. You know what? Let's take a deep breath. Let's just go for a walk and let's talk about what's going on. Because I know you're working hard and I know you didn't get the result you wanted. And that's no reason to give up, and that's no reason to beat yourself up either. See, when I'm able to show up like that for my kids, when I'm able to appreciate where they are, acknowledge it, honor it, respect it, I'm going to get a bigger influence into them to help them raise their standards and to motivate them to want to raise their standards. Partially, they want to please me, but partially, I'm reminding them of their stronger nature, their deeper identity. And when you're doing that, when you remind your kids of their best self, they'll start to do it for themselves. It becomes a virtuous cycle. They begin to spin themselves up and say, how I'm living is not who I am. But if we can have empathy, that's the doorway to compassion. Leave room to breathe, leave room to exist. When you shame people, when you embarrass them, you make it about you, and it becomes a battle of ego and a battle of fear and a battle of control. Is that really what you want? There's a very famous saying says, push a rat into a corner, they'll fight back. How much more a person? How much more a man, a woman, a child? Force somebody where they have no more options, and then they're going to come back at you, dude. So let's always leave them an out. Let's leave them away. In the ancient Asian cultures, right, we had this idea of saving face. You don't want to embarrass people too hard. A little bit to catch their attention's okay, but if you just outright embarrass somebody, that can lead to clan feuds and battles and hundreds of people dying over ego. So my advice to you today is this. Very simple. Stop shaming your kids. Stop embarrassing them. Like, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Find some other ways to get there. Find some other vehicles, other pathways to communicate. Hey, I know you're stressed. I know this isn't, what you're doing right now is not who you really are. That right there, that acknowledgement of what you're doing is not who you really are, that allows room for your kids to breathe and go, yeah, something's just bothering me. Oh, you know what? Let's take care of that. Let's go fix that first. Because sometimes it's just that. We're just tense because we just feel it. And the more we're getting pressure from the outside and we're already stressed on the inside, it just makes the problem bigger. It just feeds what we don't want to grow. So you have a choice. Feed what you want, kids. Feed what you want, moms and dads. So that's it for today. You guys make it an outstanding day. And remember, empathy. Empathy is what's going to open the doorway to motivating lasting change. So you make it a fantastic day. I will see you when I see you. And if this resonated, please hit the like and subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Know that this is making sense. And feel free, throw your comments in. Where did your parents shame you? And how did it help? Or how did it hurt? And what can you do different with your kids as you move forward? You make it an outstanding day. Bye.